Here's what we're doing. We're calling this series Crossing Over. We're following God into the unknown, and we're teaching through the Old Testament book of Joshua. Old Testament book of Joshua, it begins with this. Joshua chapter 1, verse 1. After the death of Moses, the servant of the Lord said to Joshua, son of Nun. Before you start feeling sorry for Joshua, no, Joshua was not an orphan. Son of Nun. That's N-U-N. Nun's the name of his dad. I imagine, Joshua probably got tired of explaining that every time he had to fill out the paperwork. His dad's name's Nun. Here's the other thing. Joshua, we hear about him before we actually get to the book of the Bible of Joshua. Joshua, he was around during some of the days when Moses was leading the people, and we discover Joshua, he was actually one of the 12 leaders that Moses sent to investigate the land of Canaan. Joshua and his buddy Caleb, they went into this land and they said, man, there are giants. There are giants in this land, but our God is bigger. We can do this. The other 10, well, they said, no, we can't. And we remember to this day the names of Joshua and Caleb because those guys, they're the heroes of the story. We don't remember the names of the other 10 because they're not the heroes and because they've got some really bizarro names. Check it out. We get Numbers 13, 4, and 5. These are their names. From the tribe of Reuben, Shemua, son of Zakur. From the tribe of Simeon, Sophat, son of Hori. Word of advice to all of you future parents. Do not name your child Sophat. If you name your child Sophat, it will not go so well for them in middle school. Right? Sophat is going to go to the prom by himself. Well, the book of Joshua continues. Verses 2 through 4, we get this. God is speaking to Joshua. He says, you and all these people, get ready to cross the Jordan River into the land I am about to give to them, to the Israelites. I will give you every place where you set your foot, as I promised Moses. Your territory will extend from the desert to Lebanon, and from the great river, the Euphrates, all the Hittite country, to the Mediterranean Sea in the west. That is what is referred to throughout the Bible as the promised land. The promised land, it was territory that was promised by God to Abraham and to his descendants in the ancient world. Their role was to follow the Lord. Now, originally, the promised land, well, it was a gift. It was a gift. Kind of like this. Does anybody know what this is? Because I did not. I received this as a gift. I opened it up. I looked. I paused. What do you say when you don't even know what it is? I just went with thank you. It kind of covered it. Well, Sarah, the one who gave it to me, my wife, she explained, well, it's a couch cover. I still wasn't tracking. So she said, it's a couch cover. You're going to use this. You're going to put this over the couch in your office so that it isn't so ugly. I kind of liked my couch the way that it was. So I'm wondering, how do I interpret this? Is this a gift or is this an insult? Right? Could go either way. Joshua chapter 1, we get this. Verse 2, God says, you and all the people get ready to cross the Jordan into the land I am about to give to them. The promised land, it was a gift, but it took them a while to actually open this gift. God made the original promise to Abraham. You know how long it was before they actually got there? 800 years. That's a long time, 800 years. They had to wait. Have you ever had to wait? Maybe you're there right now. I mean, what kind of things are you waiting for today? Maybe today you're waiting for clarity on a decision that you have to make. Or maybe today you're waiting for a pain. You're waiting for it to go away. Maybe you're waiting for the day you get a driver's license. Maybe you're waiting for your job situation to change. Maybe you're waiting for anxiety to disappear. We've all got these things in our lives. See, here's the thing about God. We may not be patient, but God sure is. God does some of his best and some of his deepest work during seasons of waiting. Waiting is one of the processes that God uses to shape us, to form us, to develop us into the people that he knows we can be. God, he has this tendency to work in us before he works through us. I may not like waiting, but it can be good for me. 800 years. 800 years after the original promise, we finally get to this. Joshua chapter 1, verses 10 and 11. So Joshua ordered the officers of the people, go through the camp and tell the people, get your provisions ready. 3 days from now, you will cross the Jordan here to go in and take possession of the land the Lord your God is giving you for your own. Take possession. Don't miss that. Take possession. You know what that phrase means? It means this. It means the land of promise was already occupied. The cities, they had not been abandoned. The land, it was not vacant. Take possession, take possession. In other words, gird up. You're going to have to fight for this. The vast majority of the rest of the book of Joshua is filled with battles and conflict and warfare, and we're going to get to that. Here's my question for today. My question for today is this: what kind of gift is that? God, he says to him, well, here, this is a gift, and then he says, take possession, arm up, fight. Is that your definition of a gift? Because it's not mine. You know, let's say this. Let's say instead of wrapping this up, let's say my wife Sarah, let's say she wrapped up a picture of this. And then I open it. I'm still a little confused. I'm like, what is this? She says, well, it's a couch cover. This is designed to go over the couch in your office. It's my gift to you. All you have to do is go to the store and buy it for $59.99. What? You call that a gift? Is it a gift if you have to pay for it? Is it a gift if you have to fight for it? Because that's what happens here. That's what happens in the book of Joshua. They did. And we're going to discover, as we move forward in this book of the Bible in the weeks ahead, we're going to discover a few things. Here's one of them, spoiler alert. Kids, do you know what a spoiler alert is? A spoiler alert is when someone gives you a really big clue, like I'm doing right now. Well, here's a spoiler alert for the book of Joshua. These people, they do end up conquering most of the promised land. But it wasn't easy. 24 chapters ahead, 13 battles. 13 battles to possess the land that God gave them. 13 battles were required to receive this gift. 13. I think that's why the book of Joshua begins with God telling Joshua this, verse 5. No one will be able to stand against you all the days of your life. As I was with Moses, so I will be with you. I will never leave you nor forsake you. Be strong and courageous. We like this verse. This is probably the most famous verse in the entire book of Joshua. Be strong and courageous, compelling, inspiring. It's also a hint. Be strong and courageous. What does that imply? Have you ever really thought about that? Be strong and courageous. When do you need that? Because you don't need that when you're on vacation at a resort in Cabo, right? You need that when life is difficult. You're going to need that when life is challenging. You're going to need that when you're afraid, fear, anxiety. Do you know that feeling? Man, I am so far in over my head. Man, I'm in trouble. Man, I might make the wrong decision here. I don't know how this is going to play out. This could end in disaster. It's not uncommon to get this book backward. We can read or hear about the people in the Bible and think, oh, these are heroic men and women who laughed in the face of fear. No. That's not this story. The Bible isn't the story of God looking for a few superheroes who have what it takes to pull off his plan. No, the Bible is the story of God working through people who are inadequate and afraid. And then God calls them, and God says things to them like, rise up, lean in, choose courage. You know, Moses, his first response to God was not me. Send somebody else. And God says, Moses, rise up, lean in, choose courage. Esther, go before the king? I don't want to do that. That could cost me everything. Esther, rise up, lean in, choose courage. Or Elijah, the great prophet in the Old Testament, he was overwhelmed. He was depressed. He was discouraged. He was ready to give up. God says to him, Elijah, rise up, lean in, choose courage. Peter, this guy who was approached, hey, you know Jesus. He's like, no, I don't even know the guy. Peter, rise up, lean in, choose courage. And Joshua, hey, conquer the promised land. That's not going to be easy. I think that's the reason God begins the book of Joshua saying this. Joshua 1, verse 7. Read this with me. Be strong and very courageous. He puts that at the beginning of this book because he realized they've got anxiety. They had it. Fear. They had it. Do you? Is there anything that's causing anxiety in your life today? What kind of things tend to stir up anxiety in you? And recognize there's no shame in that. Be honest about that. Joshua did. And look what God says to him. Verse 5, no one will be able to stand against you all the days of your life. At first read, that sounds like an awesome gift. A bit of thinking, and we recognize that is actually, that's a little bit more like this. That's a gift and a hint. It's both. Verse 5, no one will be able to stand against you all the days of your life. There's the gift of protection and provision, but that's not all. No one will be able to stand against you all the days of your life. Well, Joshua's adversaries, they won't be able to stand up against him, but they sure are going to try. See, the promised land, it would be a place of provision through battle, not provision through comfort. There are two sides to this original call to Joshua. We need to understand both of them. Here's God's part, verse 5. God says, I will never leave you nor forsake you. Verse 6 is Joshua's part. It's this, be strong and courageous. See, Joshua's success, it's contingent on both sides of this equation. Verse 5, that's God's part. God says, I will be with you. I will never leave you nor forsake you. Verse 6, this is Joshua's part. Be strong and courageous. God's promise, to be with you and to never leave or forsake you, it is a gift and it is also a hint. Following him is the very best way to do life, but it's not going to be easy. Through this chapter, I think one of the things God is doing is he's prompting us to ask ourselves a few questions. Questions like this: am I honestly trying to follow Jesus? Am I honestly trying to follow the way of Jesus? Or am I really just looking for the path that has the most upside for me? Am I really trying to pursue and to seek God's will? Or do I really just want my will? I mean, if God said to you what he said to these guys in Joshua chapter 1, if he said something to you like, hey, I'm going to be with you, but gird up because you've got 13 battles to fight, would you start maybe looking for a few other options? Verse 5. No one will be able to stand against you all the days of your life. As I was with Moses, so I will be with you. I will never leave you nor forsake you. After God said those words, I kind of wish that God would have invited Joshua to set up camp along the Jordan River. Kids, what river did he set up camp on? Jordan River. Yeah, that's the one. See, if I were writing Joshua chapter 1, which I am not and did not, but if I were writing it, I would end this chapter differently. Here's how I would have chapter 1 end. I would have God say to him, after he said, I'm going to be with you, I'm not going to forsake you, I would have had God say, hey, Joshua, I want you to go and just hang out over here at the Jordan River Resort. It's going to be awesome. I want you to take a break, and I want you, book a massage, get a spa day in there, and at the front desk, they'll have slippers and a robe available for you. I want you to do that because there are giants in the promised land. These guys are big, and they're bad, and they're dangerous. Leave that to me. I've got that. I'm going to take them out. This part is too dangerous for you. I would never think of putting you through that. And once I've removed all the bad guys, and once I've eliminated all the danger, then I'll send for you. Well, until then, enjoy your stay at the Jordan River Resort. Would anybody prefer that ending to Joshua chapter 1? Me. I sure would. I like that. But that's not what's in the Bible. God, he will give them this gift, but they're going to have to fight for it. God, he will go with them, but he won't go for them. They're going to have to face their fears if they want to experience God's future. The call of Jesus, it isn't to hang out and to enjoy the Jordan River Resort. Comfort is not the highest goal. Comfort is not the purpose of following Jesus. Read this with me. Joshua 1, verse 7. Here's our part. Be strong and very courageous. Live the adventure. Embrace the challenge. Don't run away from danger. Courage, it reveals what's inside. Courage, it reveals what we believe. Courage, it reveals who we live for. It's really easy to trust God when everything is comfortable and there's no risk. It's really easy to trust God when we have nothing that we really need to trust him for. Are there any giants in your promised land? I invite you to take a few moments here together and apply this passage from Joshua 1 to your life today by identifying what are those giants, what are those challenges, what are those things in my life that are creating anxiety and fear. And maybe God is inviting you to do something. Maybe he's inviting you to open up and to share something that you're struggling with another person. Maybe he's inviting you to stand firm and to hold on to the ways of the Lord, even if they're unpopular. Or maybe he's inviting you to embrace a season of singleness. Or maybe he's inviting you to invest relationally with other followers of Jesus. Maybe he's inviting you to ask for a mentor, or to invite a neighbor over, or to take a Sabbath, or to set a boundary, or to start family devotions. Or maybe he's inviting you to let go of something, to let go of a habit or a person or a toxic environment. Kids, maybe God is inviting you to be honest, even if it means you might get in trouble. Maybe God is inviting you to be nice to your brother and your sister, even though they don't deserve it. Maybe God is inviting you to let go of the claim that cleaning your room is a violation of your constitutional rights. It's not. But what giant? Apply this passage to your life today by asking yourself, well, what's the giant in my promised land today? What challenge am I facing? What decision am I putting off? What action would I rather avoid? Joshua chapter 1. Don't run from that. Dive into that, because that's where faith is found. That's how faith is built. That's where courage resides. Rise up, lean in, choose courage. Joshua 1 verse 7. Read it with me. Be strong and very courageous. You see, strength isn't ignoring the pain, but it's believing the God who hung on the cross, he isn't there anymore. He's bigger, he's stronger, he's greater, he's alive, he's risen, he's resurrected, he's victorious, he has overcome. So because of that, we can do this. Joshua 1, verse 7, read it with me. Be strong and courageous. Courage isn't a life without risk and challenge. Courage is saying, let's go take possession of the land. Courage isn't doing life at the Jordan River Resort. Courage is embracing the risk and facing the battles. Courage, it doesn't remove the fear. Courage, it trusts God during the moments of fear. Couch cover. Is this a gift or is this a hint? It's both, right? It's both. Same thing with Joshua chapter 1. God, he says, I will be with you. I will never leave you nor forsake you. Be strong and courageous. Two parts to that. God's part, verse 5, I will be with you. I will never leave you. I will never forsake you. Our part, read it with me. Be strong and courageous. Yeah. Don't let fear prevent you from going after the promised land. Don't let fear prevent you from taking on giants. Don't let fear prevent you from living the fullness of God, because you will never understand how much strength you have until you muster the courage to actually follow him. Joshua 1, two parts. God's part, I will be with you. I will never leave you nor forsake you. Our part, read it with me. Be strong and courageous. One more time, Joshua 1, two parts. God's part, I will be with you. I will never leave you nor forsake you. Our part, be strong and courageous. Pray with me.